Hey guys, now Snake's Band requested High Water Everywhere by Bonamassa, and it's an amazingly simple song if you listen to a lot of Bonamassa stuff, okay? So I figured out the riff fairly easily. The solo is kind of more like an overdub that kind of continues through the song. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, the main riff, you're in standard tuning. You've got a fairly clean setting. I'm at the moment tuned to E flat because I'm learning some other songs in E flat and I couldn't be bothered to retune. But anyway, you're in standard tuning for the record. So it goes like this. Okay, so I'm kind of playing the open E string and then hammering on with a slight bend of the 3. And then hitting the 2 on the D string, so I'm kind of muting that first open E though. And then after that 2, I'm hitting the 5 with my pinky on the D string and then back down to the 2, so. And there's some vibrato there obviously. So you play that part again. And then you play a double stop on the 3s of the top 2 strings. So. Then again. Then after that mute that time you go, which is this little chord shape. You've got the 4s on the A and the G string with the 3 in between in that little triangle shape, and then you slide it down the fret. Okay, he plays that twice and then you come into the verse riff, which is very similar but it goes like this. Okay, so it's just an E minor chord. Hit it 3 times and then play. So that's the same as in the intro, but you pull off of that 2 to the open. And then you play the open D string. Then you go 2, 5, and then you hold that 5 with some vibrato. So. Back into the main riff. Then you've got this part. Which is that same chord shape from there. We just move it down to the 2s with the 1 behind. Then you play it. And then you kind of alternate pick between those 2s, so. Then you slide them into the 3s. And then the 6s. And that's kind of all there is to it for the most part of the song. And then I'll come back in a minute and I'll explain the solo parts. Okay, so the solo parts will be all. I won't explain them all because there's a lot of kind of improvising, but they're kind of simple to work out because there is no note in there that I can see that I've found that isn't in the first 2 boxes of E minor pentatonic. Okay, so if you've got your first box and your second box, that's all the notes you need. So you can kind of riff around with those. If you know your pentatonic, of course, and you can find all of these little riffs that he throws in through the verse that you see if you listen to the song. I'll show you the first couple for the main solo. First one goes like this. So he's got a pre-bend there of the 17 and releases it on the high E string. Then he's got 15, 17, 15. Then he releases the 15 on the B string. Goes down to the 12. And then a bend and release of the 14 on the G string down to the 12. And down to the 14 on the D string. And then hammers from the 12 to the 14, and then hammers and pulls off from the 12 to the 14 on the G string. So okay, and then the next little piece will go like this. Or something like that. He kind of bends the 17 on the B string, and then kind of releases it, and then does it again in that sort of a pattern. And then, so he's kind of bending and releasing, and then kind of catching it again. Then he throws a 15 in for good measure, and then goes down to the 12. So 12, 15, and then back to the 12 with a pull off from the 15. So then 12 on the G string, 12 on the B string, then it bends the 14 on the G string, goes down to the 12, back up to the 14, and then 14 twice on the D string. So that part. Sorry. Okay, and then you can hear in the rest of the song how he's kind of improvising, but all of those notes come from the E minor pentatonic. So the next one will be something like that's a nice little riff that he throws in occasionally in most of his songs. You kind of slide up. So if I'm starting there on the G string at the 12, you can hammer to the 14, but then it will slide that into the 16 and bend it as well in one motion. So if you throw that in a few times, you won't go far wrong. That kind of thing. There's one very simple one that is just a slide into the 16 on the G string and then a bend of the 15 on the E string. It's a nice one. But the rest of them are all kind of very similar. The outro, I think he throws in a slide. Gary's made my action so low on this I can't really slide with it, but it's kind of... Sorry. This is the very last riff. So it just goes to the 12 on the E string, 12 down to the 10 on the B string, 12 on the G, then back from the 10 to the 12 on the B. So then slowly slides out, and that's your entire song. Hope that helped. Cheers.